Get excited, bro.
I am already excited. I am super excited because Jericho is fucking here. We have worked so hard to get here,
Yes.
and I am finally here. And we should probably roll it back so people know what the fuck that means and what we're talking about. But I am so excited. I'm cutting to the fucking cliff notes already. Man, we are
Yeah.
here for Ready Player 2. This is our little live from the man cave when we play video games together and get drunk. I guess that's like the real Cliff Notes version of this, right? I guess it's pretty much what it is.
Yeah, yeah.
I
It's
mean,
I
if you want to
mean,
be
yeah,
real reductive,
yeah.
that's pretty much what we do. I'm excited about it. I don't know, man.
Get
I
drunk,
just
play video games, and talk about it.
exactly in
There
that
you go.
order,
That's the
specifically
slogan.
in that order,
Get
in
drunk,
that
play
order.
video games, and talk about it.
Right. Sometimes we don't get a chance to. Well, no, yeah, we. Sometimes it's more heavily weighted on the get drunk and talk about it. Very short on the play video games because sometimes
Yeah,
these missions are four
yeah,
minutes long. But it's all good.
yeah,
It's fine. It's
yeah.
fine. This game
Or
is.
as
What
long
is
as we're
this game?
drinking.
What is this game? Tell people.
Detroit, become human.
It is. Which is
It's
a
the
little bit
saga of basically the main plot is androids start to awaken from their programming, and
from their slumber.
the human race has to deal with it. Yeah.
Right.
So
Which is like a thing that is currently like ongoing, terrifying. Because did you see that story? I know again the fucking the
derailing.
podcast of
Let's do it. Let's
derailing rabbit
derail.
holes and shit. Let's derail with 1 minute, 1.5 minutes into this. But did you read that story about the computer, the first computer that was created?
Yeah.
Where so this shit is insane. There was a
It's a
computer that was
robotic
made,
arm,
a
right?
robotic arm that was created with no programming whatsoever, no programming in terms of no programmed goals or jobs that it was supposed to do, and it learned what basically a sense of self, and I don't mean like an identity in terms of like, oh man, it became self-aware, like that type of self, but it learned what it's like, what it's um what it was shaped as, what it kind of could, what it could accomplish, what it could do, and then determined goals for itself based upon like, oh, I'm an arm, like so I can do this shit and I can do, and it started fucking accomplishing goals that they didn't plan for it to do. They didn't program it. They didn't teach any of this shit. It just figured it out based on essentially from learning what it was, how what it could accomplish, what it could do, and then say, well, if I can do this, what should I be doing? And so now I'm going to start doing that. And that is how fucking Skynet starts. That's the beginning of the fucking the overtaking of the androids. Correct?
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
I mean, it's early
This
stage,
is
but that's
it
some fucking
definitely.
scary shit.
No, so like my immediate reactions to it are like, we've been playing this game,
Right.
and it's real easy to be like, oh, the androids are awakening, but they have real feelings, man. They're real people, and you got
Right.
to treat them as such. And it's fucked up when people treat them all shitty, and and then to actually now potentially be seeing this as a possibility in our
Playing
real
out.
world,
Yeah.
is fucking scary because we just don't know
Right.
how it could go.
Right.
We don't know how AI will develop. It won't. Maybe they won't act compassionate like some of these androids are acting, and what I
Right.
mean, it's
Right.
yeah.
And
So
what
that's
what if what if that robotic arm decides like, well, man, I'm an arm and this is pretty cool and pretty strong, and instead of building that like car, I could crush this human's throat pretty easily. Let's try that.
yeah,
Like that
right.
could happen, and it's like we know.
And then we get
Yes.
into the whole this planet is already getting like very barren on resources just with
Right.
people
Absolutely.
multiplying like cockroaches and treating the environment fucked up. Like now
Yeah.
imagine then you throw in their survivability of another could you even call it species, but life of a artificial intelligence
Right.
driven life who might decide oh fuck, we're competing for resources, or maybe we're not competing for the same resources, but these motherfuckers are about to kill the planet, so maybe we got to wipe them out so we could survive.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, that becomes the threat factor, right? The threat matrix that we always think of when it comes down to what this entire game is about is when we can no longer, control just by programming, and then there's an alternative thought process that happens. Well, give anyone else the chance to have an alternative thought process about humans on this planet right now that is functionally able to think. it's pretty easy to imagine that somebody would come to the realization like these guys just fuck a lot of shit up. They just do a lot of dumb shit and make things harder, more
Yeah.
difficult, and they're kind of cocks for no reason to each other, and like they're constantly just wasting shit left and right. So when you have this thing
It's
that
like
just
Agent
started,
Smith said in The Matrix,
right?
where the human race is cockroaches.
Yeah,
It's just
absolutely.
fucking inhabiting the earth and destroying it quickly and
Right.
multiplying very fast
And
until
we're here
there's
because we're
nothing left.
here, right? We're here because we're here, and because we are at the we are the apex predator. But like at a certain
Right.
point, when something else has like a say in it, and right now we are living in a world where nothing else has a say, and that's just the kind of beauty of
Right.
why we are at the top of the food chain. But the moment something does, and I know this entire game, which we'll get into, and I'm sorry for the 4 or 5 minute derail here. We're going to try to wrap it up, but the the whole point of this game is about the being bumped off the top of the totem pole, right? Or like realizing that you're not at the top of that food chain anymore, and so it is so crazy that we are in the middle of playing this game and these types of stories are starting to roll out. And if I kind of want to let people know, if you didn't read this story, we are not adding any type of hyperbole to like the insanity of how crazy this story is. This is coming directly from specifically people that this is what they do for a living, is do robotics and and AI creation. And there were stories of them saying like this is the beginning, like this is the first major step, the first major breakthrough that we have looked for in terms of not just like AI, machine learning, all the things that you hear about when they talk about like, oh, your Netflix like figures out what other shows you might like, or your Amazon tells you what other shit you might like to buy. Like that's like machine learning and AI in a it's intelligent but not not self-sufficiently intelligent. It's just able to kind of dig through all the shit that you've provided it and then take that and learn from it and then make decisions based on it. This is much more on the independently intelligent, where we don't even give it the groundwork. We just provide it with the actual physical framework, and then it just starts figuring shit out on its own in a way that is like on I would say, I guess, equal parts super like interesting and amazing to me that exists, and terrifying, right? Because of the sci-fi dystopian future that we all are like, well, that's when the Terminator comes next, and then we're all fucked. But like, it is cool that we're there, right? That we were able to come up and create this type of technology that could actually lead to these types of things existing. Is like, well, yeah, we might fuck ourselves, but I guess we already knew this was gonna, this is a potential outcome. Let's just see how this plays out, and maybe I'll be dead by the time it all goes real fucking south.
Uh,
But we'll see what happens. I guess we might as well keep playing and see what happens to these poor fucking guys so far. They're getting fucked.
By the way, so the way this works, but all you can catch all of our older episodes as
Yes.
well as clips from our regular podcast, which is called Live from the Man Cave at youtube.com/live man cave, and I posted both the link that Craig Mack was referencing, the link to the article that Craig Mack was referencing, as well as the link to our YouTube right there in our chat. This specific I'm sorry, Detroit, which is the game that we're doing now through our Ready Player 2
Yes.
series. Detroit Become Human involves 3 main android characters, and this one is going to focus on Marcus. All right,
Yes.
but you can catch all of our older episodes back then. We encourage you highly to do it because the stories do have something to do with each other. But for your purposes right now, if you're watching this live, you want to follow along. We'll give you a quick brief as to how we got to where we are in the chapter now. Marcus's story is basically he's an android that is owned by a famous painter, a very rich and successful painter, who doesn't treat him like a robot. He treats him almost like a son. Marcus experiences, however, his rich life doesn't shield him from the day-to-day prejudices when he like goes out and does errands and runs into humans. Like in this game, the first time we see him, he's assaulted by a mob of humans who are protesting androids because they feel like androids are taking their jobs away.
Right.
He gets out of there after getting roughed up, and then goes back and philosophizes with his owner, and then the owner's son shows up to ruin the day. The son being
Leo.
a shitty motherfucker, has a strange relation or a shitty relationship with his dad. Only comes around every once in a while when he needs
Seems like
money
a
for
druggie.
drugs.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And so Marcus and his father catch the son breaking in one day. The son accosts Marcus, starts to like try to rough him up, and Marcus holds back and doesn't fight back because the father's telling him not to fight back. But then the father ends up having a heart attack in the middle of that scuffle between, over more like the son beating the shit out of Marcus. Father has a heart attack, dies right there, and then the police come because Marcus had called them upon hearing that there was an intruder in the house.
Was it Carl?
Police get
Is
there.
his name Carl the dad?
Carl,
Because Carl had told him to call the cops. Yeah.
Right. So Carl's laying on the ground dead, and cops bust in, and the son. Now I'm blanking on his Leo. I think.
Leo.
Yeah,
Leo blames.
Leo.
Yeah.
Yeah, but quickly says, "Hey, the android did it." The cops just shoot him on sight. He ends up in a junk pile. While he's finding parts amongst other dead or half-dead androids in that junk pile to try to put himself together and make himself functional again, because he somehow survives, getting tore up by all those bullets. He runs into one of these half-dead androids who, I guess, tells him he needs to reach Jericho. Right. And throughout the game, there have been references to Jericho being this. I don't. They haven't really clarified what it is yet. Also, to RA9, who I think has been made out to be some kind of deity or symbol for androids, becoming awake and not and busting the chains of their captivity. Yes. And that's where we are now.
They've kind of we've heard on multiple characters, not just Marcus's end, but from everyone we've heard of we have to get to Jericho. Like that seems to be almost the kind of whether it's a safe haven, we don't know, or if it's the place where you're going to go to become enlightened or whatever it might be. But Jericho is just it seems to be the place that everyone's trying to get to, or at least all these androids are trying to get, which has been an interesting. I will say I thought it would be a longer. Well, I don't know what's going to happen next, but it's interesting that the next chapter, being called Jericho, leads you to believe that we're there, right? Whereas in my head, if we were following the traditional kind of story arc, the Bird Box or the Book of Eli or whatever, it's the hero's journey is like, oh, you got to get to this place, and it's going to finally get there at the very end, and then we'll find out that maybe it was everything we thought it was, or maybe it wasn't, or whatever. But it's interesting that they're like, nah, like fucking a third of the way in, like we're just going to get there, and we'll see what fucking happens. So that's kind of interesting to me, just from a storytelling standpoint, to see if they, if they nail this one or if they drop the ball or whatever. I'll be interested to see how this plays out. Assuming, again, I'm not wrong that we are, because it's called Jericho, that we're actually going to get there. But I think, so one thing, I guess, just to roll it back for a minute, part of this game, when you see, when you come in and check out our playthrough, the entire thing that you'll notice, a lot of times the way we're doing this, first of all, Jess has played this game before and has the ability to have the, hindsight and foresight to, watch me do things and then talk about them from he knows what's going to happen next, so he can kind of ask me specific questions about why I made different decisions and so forth without giving anything away. And also has the ability to be able to tell us some of the differences in the different decisions that he made versus what I made. So that's some of the things you'll see, because I've never played it before. So having this being my first time through, everything's brand new. So I'm kind of living this all for the first time. So that's kind of the dynamic of why we're playing it this way. And then also one of the things that you will notice, and it's pretty apparent very quickly, this being about 14 minutes in right now and we haven't even started yet, the missions themselves can be anywhere from 4 to 5 minutes to 20, 25 minutes. And so typically we do this, we kind of recap up front, we get to the part that we're going to get to in a minute, which is my favorite part and the reason why we do this. And then we play the game. We play that for, however long that takes to get through the mission. And then we talk about it. And when we say we talk about it, that's a very open-ended statement in terms of how we talk about it. We can talk specifically through the decisions that we made, that I made, all the way through the mechanics of the game and to the far end reaches where we actually talk about similar to information we were talking about earlier when this episode just started, where we talk about what does this game mean, how does it impact with real life, where are the crossroads between this video game and real life, where do we think things are going, how do we feel about God, how do we feel about AI, how do we feel about robots versus humans, and that as that eventually starts kind of becoming more of an issue. So we've kind of touched on everything, right? So specifically to why'd you make this decision, to did you like the way that the gameplay mechanics of that section, and all the way out to the most broad, random conversations. I mean, we've talked about OCD in this game to let you know how crazy things can go. So you're in for a treat to hear some of the shit. Well, we think. I don't know. You might think it's fucking boring, but hopefully you think it's a treat. But you'll hear us kind of go down some.
Probably promise that it might be far down a rabbit hole. It might be a big derailment.
Right.
It might be a shit show. It might be like, how the fuck did we get here? Confusing, but it's probably not going to be boring.
Right, absolutely. That is the thing. That. We can promise you that you will not be bored. You may just be like, what the fuck are these guys talking about? Which is totally fine. We are okay with that. We're just basically here to have a good time and see where the conversations take us. And we have already decided that this game could be called the podcast of the Infinite Rabbit Hole. Yeah. So you be prepared. It's going to certainly happen. And one of the things that facilitates most of those rabbit holes is the reason why everything Live from the Man Cave even exists at all is because we really, really, really like to drink beer. So we use this as a reason to, instead of just sitting in our houses by ourselves drinking sadly, we can do it together, and then it's like way more fun and upbeat, and it's not really a problem. It's more like just an exciting, it's a hangout with your friend. So we always have our own beers of the show when we do them remotely. When we do it together, we've done an actual beer of the show. But when we do it remotely, you get a double bang for your buck, because you get to hear his beer of the show and my beer of the show. So Jess, let me kick it off to you first. What is your beer of the show?
Double bang from your buck is the name of one of my favorite pornos.
Absolutely. No, sounds good. Sounds good. That sounds like a good one.
Right, so, hey, by the way, as I'm introducing mine, whatever you did in the last 5 minutes, all of a sudden your mic started popping a lot. So see if you can. But if you go into settings, I'll stop talking, because then it'll mute me kind of. So
no, I didn't do anything. So hopefully, is it better? Maybe I just moved it. Maybe.
Yeah, it's better now. Yeah, cool. Yeah. Don't move it too far away, because then you'll sound low.
Yep.
So all right. So the beer I chose is is made by a brewing company that we love on this show. We've talked about it. We've had a bunch of their beers, and I never had this one, so I figured I'd try it. It's called Rubaeus
Oh yeah.
by Founders.
Yeah.
And it's pure raspberry ale.
Yeah.
And the ABV on it's only 5.7%. Nice. But everything Founders does, they do nicely. And let's see if there's anything else on this box worth reading or identifying. Nope, not at this point. So I'm just going to go ahead and drink it and tell you how it. Well, first I'll crack it comes in cans. Yep. So that's pretty cool too. And it's a nice can popping. As soon as I popped that, there was almost like air freshener raspberry smell, but not like nasty fake chemical air freshener. Like it smelled like genuine raspberries, like somebody just like sprayed raspberry mist somewhere in the room.
Right.
Nice. Oh, that's actually. All right, so my first immediate response to the taste was actually really good. It was like this almost even blend of beer and raspberries, but like a creamy beer with raspberries.
Yeah.
And then the raspberry taste just like completely took over, and it still feels like raspberries are dancing around my tongue, like the beer is almost like immediately gone. The beer taste. So So while this is pretty cool after the first sip, I'm wondering if after one or two of these, I'm gonna be like, all right, now it feels like I'm drinking raspberry juice. Where's my beer? We'll see. Have you had this before?
I have had it. Yes.
What did you?
I do like it. So it's one of those ones we have talked about previously, and we have actually, one of the things we did not mention earlier, but we have a Discord server where you can come and check out Live from the Man Cave and interact with us, interact with other fans, talk about the show, talk about beers you're drinking, anything you want. So one of the things we have talked about in the Discord server with people before is that exact thing, right? The beer that is, hey, the first sip tastes great, but by the third one it just tastes like you're, like you're just
Right.
either having fruit juice or you're just like having like blended up dessert that just tastes like a caramel pop that you're just sucking on all night, like that kind of thing. And that's that sweet spot, right? To like give it enough of that flavor that it tastes good, but not too much that it tastes overwhelming. And Rubeus is one that to me is I've always thought they nailed it pretty well. I think it goes. It's definitely not one that I would want to have like I would drink all day or like at a party. I wouldn't just kind of put them down all day. But that is typically how I feel about most fruit forward beers. I feel like they have their place, but it's not something that you would just session all day because at a certain point it's going to hit it. It's going to hit its it's going to hit its maximum where it's going to taste a little bit too much like it. But I do definitely think that that is one that I can enjoy longer and not start to feel like I'm just having like raspberry juice or just eating raspberries all night and start to taste like you're just eating Starburst or something like that. Like so, I'm interested to see what you think about it.
If I could describe the flavor a little more as I drink a few more sips, it's weird because it's got the intense fruit smell and finish of a cider, but the middle, like during the first sip and gulp, it's a really even, almost creamy beer
Yeah.
with not a hint of raspberry. It's like shares it evenly with the raspberry.
Nice.
And it's almost even the beer taste itself. If I could describe the beer tastes different, good in a way, like how like when somebody froths up your milk for your cappuccino, and
Yeah.
it almost
Yeah.
tastes like they made
frothed it up
froth out of beer, and then mixed it
Nice.
with the raspberries. So you're having like raspberries and beer cream, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. Which sounds really awesome because when you're tasting that, that's the most amazing part of the whole thing. I
Yeah.
think the aftertaste is like a little too strong on raspberries, and yeah, to where I almost feel like it's too sweet. I think after a few, I may be tired of this.
Yeah.
But
A few
the middle
sips or a
part
few
is
beers.
amazing. Few beers.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
even like I'm already feeling like it's very heavy on the fruit side, but I
Yeah.
can stand it just because the middle part, like the actual gulp and drink, is great. It's just the aftertaste is very fruit heavy, and that's what's making it a little difficult for me to see me drinking like an
Too
entire
many of these.
6-pack of these and then without being sick of the raspberry taste.
Yeah, and I would probably agree with you that I mean my experience with it is that it wouldn't be one that I would just over the course of a couple hours have six. Like it's just definitely not that style, and I don't think that that is in any way to say that it's bad, right? I think there are some bad fruit beers. I think there are some that we've had them on the show, right? We've had ones that you're like, oh, this just tastes like fruit juice with a little bit of beer in it, right?
Blueberry hill.
Right, like that kind of shit, which is disgusting. But then on the other hand, you
Not
can
even
have
fruit
ones where
juice, like fruit syrup. That's what that tastes like.
absolutely right. It just tastes like all of the worst part of like a fruit, like the extract that you're like that's disgusting. Whereas
Yeah.
there are other ones where you can be like, hey, having
Like Slurpee mixture without the ice, like without the slush.
exactly like it ran out of the ice, and you're just getting only the gulp, like the goop,
Oh,
and you're like that's disgusting. And so whereas this can be one where you're like, hey, having three of these could be excellent. I don't necessarily want to have a fourth, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad, right? It just means that they're knocking home a flavor that you may not want to have all night long, but you can enjoy a couple of them. And so that's one of the things we try to
especially if you
differentiate
do
on
this
the
as
show.
like a flight. If you
Yeah,
did this as like
absolutely.
a beer flight, or like did like you buy a 6-pack, your
Tasters,
boy
right.
buys a 6-packs, and your boy and then you guys
And
like
you do
trade
break
them.
it up. Yeah, you break it up and try it. Yes, absolutely. I think that's where this like really hits its sweet spot is, you can enjoy a couple of them, but you don't. I know for a fact like it's not one that you're going to want to drink all day long, but like I said, we just try to differentiate between ones that were like, oh, this isn't good, and that's why I wouldn't want to drink more of it, versus, oh, this is really
There's
good,
too much of
but
this.
it's just I just don't want more of it because eventually that flavor, it drives home. Not every beer is like pizza where you're like, man, I could have one slice or I could have 17 slices. It's just they're all great.
Right.
Whereas sometimes you're like, hey, it could be like a creme brulee where you're like, that was amazing, but I'm probably not even going to finish this dessert because it's by the end of it, it's
Yeah.
going to be too much, too rich, too heavy. But it doesn't mean that it wasn't great. It just means that it was, that's what it was going for. So I'll be interested to see what you think about it. But
Yeah. By the way,
uh,
beer hack or liquor store hack or life hack for you listeners out there. Most liquor stores will actually let you do that too. Like, just you don't have to take the 6-pack as it comes, or not most. I mean, some good liquor
good
stores will
ones
let you
will,
do that.
yeah,
You just be like, you know what? Like in mind, if I wanted to like grab 2 Founders cans of raspberry and mix them with like another brewer and their blueberry, like a good version, or another brewer and like IPA, whatever, they just let me do that. You can mix and match, and never hurts to ask.
yeah, you can
So if
find
you're
out.
gonna get Founders Roubaix, I'd say you get 2 of them,
Yeah,
and then fill your 6-pack with something else.
perfect, awesome.
All right, what
All
are you
right,
drinking?
man. So mine is the brewer is a brewer that you had, I believe, for the first time at the last episode. The one that's just going out there right now, the kind of
It's a
Merry
good
Christmas, Happy
episode.
New Year, the kind of end holiday episode, which is amazing episode. That you guys can go check that out on Live from the Man Cave. But one of the beers, as I was introducing you to a ton of different like killer holiday or just good beers to have for our holiday party that we were having. One of them that that we tried was the one that I had gotten for a Christmas gift. I'd gotten an entire case of this under the Christmas tree. It was a mixed up case of a whole bunch of different kinds of beers from Treehouse Brewing in Massachusetts. So you and I had tried one of the beers that we had done, I believe, Juicy, but this is a different one that I have not tried yet. It's another one that came in that case that I got for Christmas, but I have not tried it yet. It's called Hurricane, and it's an American
Oh shit!
yeah, American Double IPA. I'm just going to read to you the back what it says. It says, "We are excited that you're holding a hop-saturated double IPA by Treehouse Brewing Company, Hurricane. A pungent aroma of earthy citrus gives way to a beer rich with complexity, conjuring perceptions of papaya, melon, mandarin, orange, and stone fruit. By applying years
Ooh,
of focused brewing execution, we're able to craft Hurricane, a beer that is neither abrasive or harsh and features tirelessly refined characteristics. We are welcoming this beer to the family as a proud example representing who we are as a brewery. It is the result of our uncompromising dedication to fresh, progressive, and pleasantly drinkable beer. We invite you to enjoy it with laughter, good cheer, and in the company of those you love." And this one is Hurricane is 7.7%. So I'm gonna try this one
seven
out.
point
Seven.
seven percent.
Yep, 7.7. So it's a pretty decent double IPA, but nothing crazy. I mean, we've obviously had on the show ones that are much higher than that, but that's a nice number for the show. So let's check this one out. Let's see how this tastes. Pop it open. All right. Oh wow, yeah. So you smell the citrus. You smell the citrus immediately. Like it smells like something that you're like, oh man, I'm super thirsty. I just want to chug this. Like that's, you get that like super refreshing smell of something that you're like, oh, I could chug this. Probably don't want to, but I could. So let's see. Oh
So
man,
what's a? Oh,
yep.
go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
Wow. Oh dude, that is unbelievable. That's incredible. So I'm actually surprised by how much I notice the papaya and melon part of it, like as an
Yeah.
actual flavor, like because a lot of times beers will write that stuff, and I mean I'm sure there are people that have incredibly refined palates and they pick up on every individual thing. They're like, oh, I also taste like like a like horsehair and all that stuff. I'm like, hey, do you really? Like, come on. Like, there are people that just say things that they taste, and I'm like, I mean, that's cool for you,
Hey,
but like, I don't.
was there a splash of paprika? I'm tasting a
Right.
splash of paprika in here
Exactly. I'm
somewhere.
like, I don't necessarily get that. So, especially on the fruits, on the citrus side, right? There are plenty of times we've all had beers where they'll say like, oh, it's very citrusy, such as, and then they just name 7 different citrus fruits, which is like a catch-all for, oh, so it just tastes like citrus fruit. Like, but you're not going to pick up
Right.
those actual flavors. This one, I, I expected that I'd get the mandarin orange because that's like, of course, you're going to get that in a lot
Distinct.
of these IPAs. That's pretty standard, distinct flavor that jumps out at you in an IPA. But getting the papaya and melon flavor as strong as this does, it is unbelievable. And this is incredibly crushable. Like you could drink this even at 7.7. You could crush this all day long because it goes down so perfectly. I mean, this part of this is also making me happy because it is, I don't know if people know about this, but where we are is roughly about 4 degrees out right now. So this drinking this is making me feel like it's
It's
summertime.
cold outside.
Yeah, exactly. We played that like a little bit too early before the fucking like the Arctic squall came in, right? But this is making me feel like it's summertime, and it's making me super excited because it feels like it like warms you up, not in the way that like a heavy stout warms you up, like sit by the fireplace warms you up. This warms you up in the way that it makes your brain feel like it's warm out, and you're like, oh man, I feel like I should be outside like mowing the lawn right now drinking this. But it is fucking it's delicious, dude. This is incredible.
The advantage of you're seeing a lot of IPAs now making moves for to mix with the citrus stuff,
Yep.
which seems a little counterintuitive, right? Before you would think like the ciders or what, there's like the IPA, strong hops flavor, piney, and then
Yeah.
like the other side of the spectrum is like ciders and like the quote unquote weaker or more less ABV beers mixing with the citrus. But now I think the advantage of the of especially like a double IPA and then you mix it with strong citrus or fruit flavors allows those fruit flavors to hide in plain sight, and
Yeah.
then you don't have, like in my case, like the Rubaeus where the raspberry ale overwhelms the rest of the beer, right? Like in your case, it's because of the double IPA, it seems like those flavors would just like kind of blend together and give a big explosion of taste rather than one taking over the other or having to subtle one up, subtle the flavors up and blend them. I think you could just let them just fly with those different kind of strong flavors. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, the fact that you're allowed to let them all breathe in their own way and not, turn into this overly blended, the whole idea of making a fruit smoothie, right? Imagine a fruit smoothie. If
Right.
you make it like a strawberry smoothie or a strawberry blueberry smoothie or something, yeah, that's great. Once you start saying like, man, I'm going to make it a tropical strawberry smoothie with melon and mango and whatever, and then eventually you're just like, okay, now it just tastes like a generalized fruit, but it doesn't taste like any individual fruit. And that is the problem that a lot of times that these things get overly kind of dissected down to tasting like really none of the flavors because all of the flavors mixed together and just cause nothingness, right? Whereas this one is actually tastes almost similar to the way that you were just describing the Rubaeus, and that you're like, yes, that is fruit, much fruit heavier, but this one, the way you were describing how like each one of the sections while you were drinking it had its own moment in the sun, like you were like, oh, now
Right.
I'm getting the creamy part, now I'm getting the raspberry part. Like this one has that where like literally as it's washing over your, as it's literally passing over your tongue, you are getting individual different flavors. You're like, oh, okay, so that's the mandarin orange, and that's the papaya, and there's the melon, and I'm getting all of you, and you're all getting your moment to kind of sit there mixed in with the overall flavor of the alcohol with the beer and all that. Like, but it's not one at the expense of the other. You're not forgetting the beer at the expense, or you're not. It's not fruit at the expense of the alcohol slash beer flavor, but it's not beer at the expense of the fruit flavor just as a back end. It's like each one is having its own moment, and it's pretty awesome. This has been Treehouse so far. As much as we liked the other, the other one that we did on the podcast, uh, they are not disappointing me at all. This is the second one of the case that I got for Christmas that I've tried, and so far they're both incredible. I highly
Yeah, you
recommend
said that.
Treehouse.
That's why they have like these long ass lines
Mm-hmm.
that you have to
Oh,
wait
like
just to get in the
an
brewery.
hour just to get into the brewery, and then they have limits on how much you're allowed to take out with you if you're buying cans and stuff like that. They have like an actual, you're only allowed to go out with X amount. It could be hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of shit, but that's only because their shit is super expensive because they don't distribute pretty far. So you have to, a lot of times if you don't live in the area, you have to go there to get it. So this was
It's crazy.
a very special gift for me, and one that I am, as you know, based on, I mean, I got a case of it for Christmas, and I'm still slowly making my way through it because it's like one of those things where you don't just say like, hey, I'm having a couple friends over tonight. We're just gonna crack them all open and kill them tonight, and by the end we won't even know that we were drinking them because we're gonna be too drunk. This is the kind of one where I do this, where I open one when I'm in the mood, when I'm gonna have a good time and be able to enjoy it, and they
It's
are
like
not
pulling out the
disappointing.
good bourbon.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. That's the one that you pull out of the canter and you're like, all right, we're ready to go. We're gonna enjoy this, and you're not allowed to get too drunk because I want you to enjoy every sip of this. That's the way this beer
Yeah.
feels to me. So I'm gonna enjoy the fuck out of this.
So over a half hour into this
Yes.
stream, we've promised you rabbit holes, and we have definitely gone down them.
We have.
Hopefully you've enjoyed them. But now I think it's time to boot up this game and
officially
finally for you to find out a little more about Jericho.
Let's see what
Possibly
happens.
Meet Jericho.
Ooh, is it Chris Jericho, the wrestler? Because that would be amazing.
That's exactly. Woo! No,
Break
that's not.
down
Woo.
the walls of Jericho. That'd be great.
And while you boot up that game, I'm gonna go take a piss and be right back.
This is exactly what you do every single time. It leads me to talk us through the intro while you're urinating like a grown 55-year-old man with a prostate problem. This beer's so good. All right, so this is a longer load than we've seen in the past. Normally, we start to talk and then it immediately loads up, and then I'm caught holding the bag. But no, this time it is.
Several
There we go.
sources
All right.
report
Oh
that
shit!
Cyber Life has
All right,
provided
news.
Detroit police with a prototype detective android. Although police assistant androids have existed for several
Oh, so this is the shit about Connor, by the way, if you're listening, or if you have not seen the earlier shit. This is referring to Connor, who's the cop, or works with the cops. He is an android policeman. There's Marcus in his badass, shitty trench coat. I hate that trench coat. Oh, God, I hate it. It looks so dumb. Alright, well, we Ferndale.
All right, I'm back.
There he is. That's the guy that you were talking about, the crazy guy who was like, find Jericho. I hate his trench coat, dude. I still hate it.
I was gonna say he showed up in a stylish trench coat.
Yeah.
It's got a fur
Alright.
fur lining inside.
Yeah, I don't like the fur on the inside. It was raining. That's not very helpful in the rain. Alright, let's see.
It's a cool looking card.
Alright, let's see.
That's just a thing, like a tattoo he put on his hand.
Yeah, he just fucking, it just like appears there and then vanishes when he looks away.
Change. You spare some change. Thanks for the ride, lady.
Yeah. Thanks for the ride, lady. Look around to find the graffiti. Alright, what do you mean next graffiti? Why does it keep saying, look at that thing for the next... Oh, I'm supposed to be looking for that picture. Okay, gotcha. Gotcha. Is it that picture? Is it that man? No, that's got... Oh, it is that. Okay.
Yeah, bro, you're standing right next to it the whole time.
Look around. Yeah, but what am I supposed to do? Oh, okay, that's it. There we go. There we go. Oh, okay. That's not the symbol? I guess not. Alright. You're being annoying. That's okay. Follow trail to Jericho. What's that over there? There's something I can scan. See, this is why sometimes they take 20 minutes, because I suck at games! Oh, okay. Cool.
All right, do you want me to speed this up a little bit? Oh, no, never mind.
Nope, there we go. I'm going to read this just so we have these to talk about later. We're not reading these right now, just in case you're, you're new to this. We don't really read any of these right now. I just kind of unlock them, and then we go back and look at them.
We'll discuss them in the post.
Yeah, post notes. Alright, that thing. No, I did find the fucking... Okay. I don't understand why they're not registering that I'm looking right at the fucking graffiti. Okay, so I do that, and then I do this, but it's not scanning anything. I'm just gonna walk right up to it and see if there's... Oh God, Marcus, you suck. Maybe if I look at my hand right next to it? No, alright. Oh, wait, what is that? Okay, hold R2 to decipher the graffiti. Okay, that was... Use the right stick to find the symbol in the graffiti. I did. That's it right there, right? Oh, okay. There we go. Cool. I wasn't reading what they were telling me to do. Find this graffiti. Motherfucker. More graffiti. Alright. Good times.
So you got that symbol, and that symbol tells you to find some other shit.
Gotcha. Oh, there's some baseball going on.
Pretty cool how they can lead each other like treasure maps,
Yeah.
like in graffiti.
Oh shit. Heard that Android boy. Here for you. Oh, I gotta blend in with the humans? That's not a thing I'm good at. Marcus? Oh, look at her walking into the... she walked into the wall. That was like a weird... she keeps getting hit by the door. She sucks. So... Am I blending in yet, guys? Hey, what's up, guys? Just a regular human. Just doing human shit, right? That's cool. Don't talk to her because she's a robot and humans wouldn't talk to her. What the fuck? Okay, that is a tiger. So... use the right stick to find the next symbol. There we go. Clue updated. Alright. Now I gotta find that building.
The second one was right by his dick. Way to go, Craig Mack.
Yeah, that's the way I play games. Oh, there's cops.
So you get a little healthy jog. Slowed him up.
Yeah. Look at him go. Whoop, whoop. Alright.
You hear about that artist, Carl Manfred?
Oh, Carl Manfred's dead.
Ireland Android.
Hey! Hey, I didn't kill him. Fuck you guys.
I read it somewhere.
Well, don't believe everything you read.
Oh, that's all I had to say about that. Good. I like that she doesn't think I did it. Alright, so I need to find this thing again. This fucking multicolored building. Where are you? Shit, did I go the wrong way? Probably. Go anyway. I'm gonna keep going anyway. Just we're in it for the long haul. This is gonna be a long episode. I don't give a shit. I'm just gonna wander around until everyone stops watching our show. Alright, let's see. So it is that. Fuck you. It's not really helping. Oh, wait. Oh. Red means I can't walk. Okay. Oh, green. Alright. Trying to blend in. Ooh, a bar. You know what? Just fuck this game. You want to just go in this bar?
I've been noticing the same shit. Like, yeah, that looks like fun.
Yeah. Oh, and right next to it is the Bronco bar? That looks pretty cool.
There's a lot of bars out here.
Yeah,
Sensing a
fuck,
theme.
I like this town. What town is this? Detroit kicks ass. Alright. Oh, I am trying to find the graffiti. Oh, turn around. Turn around, Marcus. You went too far. Alright. Let me go back to where the fuck it started. Was it here where I came down? Yeah. And I got to that picture. I thought they would have given me more like a clue on where the fuck I'm supposed to go after I...
They did give you a clue. It's in your hand.
Well, they just showed me a picture, but it doesn't say like where that would be.
Well,
True. You're right.
look,
I mean, I'm
look
an
at the
idiot.
surroundings.
I'm trying to find that. I guess maybe I should be looking up higher. Oh, okay. There you go. Aluminum rim jobs. Oh, look at that guy. He's chubby. That guy needs to lose some weight. All right, here we go. What's that?
That fucker looks like a big worm.
Alright, here we go. I found you.
See what happens when you try to just rush through this shit? You end up doing more work.
I know. I found you. Clue updated. Oh, God, this robot guy.
DJ Clue.
Alright. So now we're looking for this robot dude. There he is. What's up, dude? There we go. Scan you. Scan
See, now your brain
you.
is automated. It was easier for you to find the next one because your brain started picking up, okay, how to think. Like,
Right.
oh, okay, chain link fence. Look for chain link fence now.
Right.
You know, instead of just the
Right, just
actual
looking
art
for
piece.
the actual thing. Wait, what? What are you doing, dude? No, back away. Oh. Yeah, but there's a third one. That's a bad thing. No, I did that one. Can't move that. There we go. Get over there, Marcus. Do your job, Marcus. Come on. There we go. God, it's gonna be down that little hole. That'd be awesome. Alright, scan this last one. What's my clue now?
I'm not looking for much.
Damn it, that lady. Alright. Alright. There we go. Nope, I keep hitting the wrong thing. Alright, let's get over here. Let's scan up there. I gotta find 3 symbols this time.
So might as well talk about this while you're.
Yes.
But
Yeah,
how do you
this is a
like
little bit-
this new kind of? All right, now I'm gonna make you find clues in the middle of these pictures around the city. How do you like it?
Shit, that looks uncomfortable for that guy. This is not my favorite. I mean, just because this is a little bit more just like kind of trial and error, you know, just wander around. I mean, part of it, I guess I can say, it's probably a little bit more annoying to me just because we're also streaming it. So there's part of me that feels like, oh man, this is boring to people that are sitting and watching me just like wander around and go the wrong way or whatever. You know what I mean? But also part of it is just like I get it. It's cool, like because it's the whole idea of it being like a treasure hunt. You know, of like you know, almost like I mean, because they refer to it in the game, like the Underground Railroad, right, went through Detroit. Like she tells you about that when you boot up the game sometimes, and so the idea of kind of tying this together, like, oh, there's like secret messages left in plain sight that only people that need to know about it can find them. I think that part's cool, but the other part of me is like, man, this has kind of been going on for a little bit. Like, you know, you're like, okay, how many clues do I have to find?
It's kind of your fault because you attacked it in a way that was like you didn't stop and check all your surroundings or look at the picture and be like, oh, okay. Like at first you didn't be like, oh, well, instead of just focusing on the art, I'm gonna look at like for something for it where it's in a place that's high or you know other things. Then you started doing that and it started going a lot quicker. I personally like this as being yet another thing that wasn't done earlier in the game. It's like a puzzle and you're still figuring it out, you know, so it's a different way to do it. Like obviously if they did this all game, I'd be sick of it kind of fast, but this was a cool thing for, you know, this chapter just being another different thing where they're just doing this.
Right. I feel like I'm fucking this one up right now though, because there's like a third one that I'm supposed to be
you're
finding.
missing the third one, right.
And is it in this section right here, or am I supposed to keep moving and it's like farther
to my recollection, they were all in the same.
Okay, so maybe I wasn't supposed to fucking go up this early. I don't know now. See, this is the part where I'm like, now I feel bad to anyone that's watching this.
Look at the thing on your hand. Don't feel too bad, but look at I mean, you know, if you want to kind of like narrate what you're thinking as to why each clue, where you would look. So you see that one symbol there.
Right. So I did the 1, 2. I did those 2. I did them right.
And
then I did that. I did that.
The other one's, it's got to be in that vicinity somewhere, because you're scanning that picture, so you have to find that.
Right.
So this last one is probably just hidden in a different way.
Yeah, there we go. Yep. There we go. That was stupid of me. Cool. All right. Sparkle.
So and that's what I was gonna say is like, you see what they did there. The
Right.
reason that one your brain wasn't,
I was looking
and that
for
was
the dark.
probably
Right,
by
yeah.
design. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
How crazy is that? That your brain works like that. It's like, oh wait, fuck, and it was
Mhm.
sitting right in front of you the whole time.
Right. I looked at it like 5 different times. Use the right stick.
Which some of the the subtext in all this is really cool too. It's like,
Right.
you mean we've talked about David Cage's critics say he's too heavy-handed, but that there's little subtle things in there that he doesn't explain all the way, and you just kind of have to appreciate.
Right. I'm down with that.
And this right here to me is fucking cool.
That is definitely
fucking-
cool. Yeah, the pre-plan your route and then pull it off.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that's the way you imagine we'll do these things, right? Is they they
The Sherlock
figure out,
Holmes.
yeah, exactly. Oh, which is the coolest part of those movies, right? Like the idea of like, oh, I pre-did this entire fight in my head, and then now I'm going to execute on the plan that I had already established for myself, which is cool.
Yep.
All right, there we go.
And then plus, I love parkour, so just
Right,
watching
well,
them
yeah.
do that is part of this is awesome.
That is definitely cool. And I like that they gave me like multiple options on how I could have done it. So I like, to be able to imagine that, that the robot's like, wow, let me try this. Okay, this is the best way, to pull it off. Oh, they're doing it to me again.
The third one's in there somewhere, and you're having trouble finding it.
Yeah.
So sit back and think about, what's your analysis? What might be the things that you need to change up in how you're looking? And
Right. So obviously this is going to be another, the way they're doing it in a different, like an accent color or something like that would change your perception of what you're looking for, or maybe it is.
I already saw it.
Oh, maybe it's that. Maybe it's one of these. Oh, you did see it already?
Mm-hmm.
Fuck. Alright, let's see what
Viewers had to have seen it at this point too. So it's really awesome how they're taking advantage of how your brain works
There we go, yeah.
to disguise these things in plain sight.
Yeah, that was pretty
Sometimes you just got to take a step. Yeah, you see it? Oh, so you did it that way. You
Yeah.
did it that way, where you just dragged your cursor over the entire thing.
cool. I didn't.
Wait.
I didn't see it by dragging it over. I actually I saw it. That's why I moved it over.
That one was in orange, stuck
yeah.
with the orange lettering.
Right.
Yeah. Whereas the other ones were in white. So your brain wasn't preconditioned. It wasn't looking for that.
Right.
Isn't that funny how that works like that? Like
Yeah,
your brain
it's-
is just like,
it
oh,
is
well, I'm
cool,
looking for the
yeah.
white.
Let's see, which one do I want to do? That looks cool. I'm gonna try this guy. Let's see. Marcus. There we go. Let him go. Oh man, Marcus is a baller. Oh, would be too high. Oh, that's pretty cool. That's the first time we saw that happen. Where they're like, okay, so he couldn't pull that off. So let's see if he can do this. Alright, nice. So he can pull that off. So that's cool. So they made it so that not everything is like a
Yeah.
do. Like a,
It's not just different cool options. There are
Right.
wrong ways to do it.
right. But he figures that out, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah. And there's multiple ways to do it successfully, but not all
Right.
of them are successful.
Right. That did make him look fucking cool, though.
Yeah.
Is it that thing? Let's see where they're showing what it is. Okay. Wait. There it is. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty awesome. Alright. No, wait. Oh, I have to line it up. Fuck. it's hard to like get it to line up.
Oh, I mean, I think you have it once it's all like it's
I
highlighted
think, but
in
they're
yellow.
not. Yeah, but they're not.
Oh, it's not letting you do it.
Yeah, they're not. Oh, there we go. Okay, yeah. Now they let me. They wasn't letting me click anything. Wait, what? Okay. Here we go. That's cool though. How that one was like a different. You know, where they made it be a, you know, a product of like being in the right spot to make it line up. Let's see.
Did you see what it said?
Yep, that's pretty cool. Jericho right there. The side of the boat. That's pretty cool. So Jericho's the boat. Yep, hold on one quick sec, alright? Give me 1 second.
Yeah. And then this is actually, I think, yeah, it's funny that right here where Craig Mack is stopping, or like pausing for a second while he probably runs to the PS. It matches the, what happened?
Just fucking everything just exploded. The building-
Oh, okay, yeah. There's a Twitch delay, but that was where you stopped for a second. Was exactly like the cover image on the chapter.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
that
mission.
was pretty cool. Alright, so let's see. Follow trail, symbols found. Found another way to the boat. Alright, so let's try going back. Up here. Yeah, I can. Let's see. Come on, Marcus. Die.
Shit. Yeah, that jump was easy.
Yeah. Look at him just walking like a Terminator. That's cool as fuck, though, that Jericho is the boat.
Yeah.
The whole time I was thinking it's on that it's some kind of safe haven, you know, city or something like that. And the fact that it's this rusted out fucking boat. I'm nervous. Some shit's gonna fucking happen. Oh shit, okay. I guess we're just doing that then. Damn, Marcus.
Leap of faith. How cool is that, though?
Just fucking stepped off right into it. And don't need that trench coat no more. Served its purpose.
Its purpose was to make you look really cool
Make
as
me
you
look
dropped off
badass.
to the side.
Right, exactly. That's a move there.
Any fear right now?
What'd you say?
Any fear right now? Like as he's walking down these like dank
Yes.
corridors?
There's more, yeah, there's just tension of like, I'm just anticipating there being one of those moments where they're just like, oh shit, something jumps out and like hit triangle real fast and I won't be like paying attention, you know, like that kind of thing. Where like, you get freaked out by your like lack of response. And so that's more what I'm like reminding myself not to get too like caught up in the, you know, moment of watching
Whoa,
the scene
right.
happen and then
Right.
forgetting to like
Not ready for some shit.
Yeah. Oh, Jericho. Man, I thought you were strong. Break these doors with you, dude. God, all the clues they gave you to get here. Then once you get here, there's a shitload of locked doors. Oh, oh shit, that was scary. What the fuck was that?
Yeah, like
What
The Shining all of a
The
sudden.
fuck was that? Why is it scary all of a sudden? I thought it was supposed to be the place to come to get saved. Not get murdered by a screeching demon like that. Fuck her, man. What a bitch. Why'd she do that? She was just like, Rick! God damn it.
Fucking shit just starts falling on you.
Yeah, this is nerve-wracking. Fuck you, David Cage. Oh, shit. There we go. Let's see. Alright, we got an open door. We've got an open door here, everybody. We've got an open door.
Hello? Is anyone there?
I'm shining the light directly in front of his face. Shine a little bit ahead of you. Oh no, Marcus, no! Oh, fuck. You just got fucked. Damn, that did not look good for the back. Oh my goddamn flashlight. Oh, okay, weird. This is like Children of the Corn shit.
Welcome to Jericho.
Hey, I made it. I made it. I don't like that their final test to get to Jericho is just have the floor collapse and you plummet almost to your death. And then they're like, well, you made it, son. Welcome to the party. Jesus Christ.
So,
wow. All right.
This may end up being one of the ones where we actually talked more in the pre than in the post.
Yeah.
Because I think, most of it got said during before. There's like one concept I did want to bring up.
Yeah.
So the big thing was, we've already talked about, what, I don't know if you have anything else to say on whether, just the aspect of the puzzle, because I thought that was cool for this one mission. If they had continued to do that
Right.
for the whole, game, then yeah, it could get annoying. But I like that they switched it up. They keep finding different, like, this is definitely they're telling a story with like a movie, like a cinematic perspective, but at the same time, they're including cool different ways to move the story. And in this case, it was finding puzzles,
Right.
like, like clues around the city to get to the actual puzzle, and then playing tricks with your eyes to figure out
Right.
how to get, find the thing that was inside you. And I could see how if you're just trying to move the game and the story along, it could be annoying because you're worried, fuck, are my people watching my stream, are they getting impatient because I'm fucking something up?
Right.
You know what I mean? But I think it helped have us talk through kind of why it's cool that it was done the way it did. I
Yeah,
also
I
really
think-
liked your reference to the Underground Railroad.
Right.
But I don't think, again, I don't think it was beating you over the head with it. I think, the Underground Railroad wasn't the only movement to use that,
Absolutely.
to use that method. I mean, it's been done historically, and you can imagine that if there was an underground movement to save androids or an oppressed people, like this would be a viable method to do it. And I think they did it well in the game.
Right.
I don't know about you.
Well, so yeah, it's funny because obviously that is the most obvious example. I mean, we've talked before on the show and whatever. I love Fallout, right? That's another game where there is there's a faction in that game called the Railroad, and they do very similar like parts to the game, though. Like the way you first find them and meet them is you have to figure out what the clue is, and then search for that clue kind of hidden in plain sight. And so it's one of those things where if you obviously don't know about the clue in the first place, it means nothing to you, right? So I thought that was cool, specifically because as it got a little bit more in depth each time, that was the more interesting part to it. Like if it was just like walk up to it, and each time you're just like, oh, find the three things, you're like, well, this is dumb. But then the fact, like, and that's what my brain was thinking I was doing. So that's why I was like, well, I don't get, like, why am I not seeing the thing? Because they've already shown me it's just going to be like three black, like that little kind of tic-tac-toe board.
Yeah.
And then when I finally figured it out, that I was like, oh, okay, no, they're just like hiding them now, and like they're hiding them in cool ways. And then obviously, even when I realized how they were hiding them, I still was like not finding it, which was cool. That part was
because
fun.
in one case, then you started looking for the black one now that you found two white ones, and then you figured, oh shit, there's no black, it's orange. They match it with the orange lettering.
Right, and they
just threw your
blended
brain
it
off.
in,
And it's so funny that like so funny that, like, because when I was going through it and doing what you were doing, like, it was also frustrating to me in that way, because the first couple of times, like, I don't get this is stupid. What am I supposed to walk down the block and find the third one?
Right.
Not realizing that the whole time it was in my face, and until I realized, until I actually found it, I went from being really annoyed, and thinking like, oh, this is stupid the way they did this, to all of a sudden being, wow, that was actually really clever.
Right.
And then now being detached and watching you do it makes me like it even more. Because I got to be the detached, unfrustrated observer. Right.
You get to see it again, like, oh yeah, I went through what he went. Like, I went through the being annoyed by it to getting to like, okay, that's kind of cool. And my favorite part was because I eventually knew they were going to, or I was hoping they were going to do it, and they did do it. But they eventually went the route of like, okay, now instead of finding it right now, instead of it just being a thing on the wall, now it's like within the being in the environment, right? Like an environmental puzzle that you have to solve, a little like that game The Witness that we've talked about, but where the puzzle is the environment, and now you're solving it by being in the right place. And so I thought that was cool. That they did that. But again, if the entire game was like a puzzle game, I just don't think that would have been boring. Mm-hmm. But the fact that they did it, I do think, I did hit a certain point where I was like, all right, please let this be the last one, because like I don't want to keep doing this anymore.
I think they cut it right at the right moment where you were just about to get sick of it.
Yeah, I was definitely like hitting that point where I was like, all right, if you're going to make me do this again. And part of that is obviously, yes, like I'm looking up at a timer and imagining like, oh, anyone watching this, are they getting bored, right? Because I'm starting to be annoyed, so everyone else must hate it. But if I was just sitting at home playing by myself, I'd probably be a little bit more, like flexible to enjoy it, because I'm like, whatever, man, I'm just having a good time by myself, and no one's watching me, so no one's judging if I'm shitty at games or not, right? But it was interesting, and I think then it was cool how they took the twist from all of a sudden being this weird like puzzle, dynamic thing where I was like, all right, are you going to do it again? And then when he dropped into the water, I was like, fuck, if I pop up and you're going to make me fucking do it again, I'm gonna really fucking hate this. And then it turned into this weird, like, survival horror thing where I was like, oh, okay, we just totally switched it up. And it ended up actually, there was like, the payoff was not a horror moment at all, right? It was just like, cool, oh, you got to the thing that you wanted to get to. So it was like they kind of subverted your thoughts of expecting this big, like, am I going to have to fight some fucking monster? And in reality, it's like, nope, you just found a bunch of people that are all like, also trying to hide like you are. And that's the end of the mission. I thought that was, that was an interesting way to, go back and forth on what your expectations were at any given moment.
Yep. So so let's go through the decision tree real quick. You got 86% completed. Mine was 89, so I found one thing that you didn't.
Okay.
And we'll find out. I don't know what that is. It's not that apparent to me. It couldn't have been that important.
Okay, so public opinion still skeptical, so we'll see. So arrive at Ferndale, obviously everyone. Flashback of the other deviant, which was the one that said, like, you got to find Jericho, which was, I think that was the moment you were still in the bathroom. I don't know if you came back for that, but there was that.
Yeah, no, I came back just in time for that.
Just as it was happening. Okay, so that was what we had talked about earlier, the guy underground, or not underground, in the dump
junkyard
that said, who was saying, like, you got to go find Jericho, go figure out Jericho. So analyze the station graffiti and then exit the station. So I read, did you read that? Is that the third thing you did? There was a third article
you read
there, I guess?
On the Run. No, I didn't get that article. Mine was an article called Fortune Teller.
Okay. Oh, so that could be because of a difference in a decision that we made, probably. So
earlier
we'll go into that because there are three options there, even though I only had two articles I could read.
You could only get two.
Right, and that's because you got a third one based on, or you got a different one based on some decision that we'll get into in a minute when we look at those articles.
And it must be related to like a major thing that you did in the minority, because only 27% saw the Fortune Teller article, whereas 70% saw the Read Android Astronauts.
Right. So
and
something.
Then
you did.
It was 60% for me of On the Run.
And 60% for me too. Okay, so On the Run. So the middle one is the 27% one that you saw?
No. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. I was looking at mine by accident. So
okay.
The Fortune Teller was 27%. Your Read Android Astronauts matched my 70. And so whatever you did with On the Run was 60%, whereas 27%. So that's weird that, okay, I guess what must have happened,
right,
or what might have happened, because it's weird that the other two would add up to 87%, right? If
Right.
yours is 60 and mine is 27, you would think that they would, like, yours would be 60 and mine would be 10, and then it would like whoever found the newspaper period always found the read Android astronauts, so it'd be 70% of that. And then, but I guess there's some people
Unless that's a
that just
breakdown of
read
people that
the
never,
cover one.
right? They only read
They
one
didn't flip
article
through
and
it, they
not the
just
other,
picked up
right?
the,
Yeah,
the article. Right.
right.
So it could be that. But
So
in any
On the
case,
Run
the fortune
must be
teller,
about
I'm guessing.
Must be about what's her name, because you never got
Right.
you never had the moment where you found Kara, so they don't know what
Right.
the deal is. I'm guessing that might be what the article's about.
Right. So
Is
On the
about
Run is
like her being
probably
on the
about that.
run.
Right.
So yeah,
Right.
all right,
So
that's pretty
I
cool.
go. So do you want to let's see the Android astronauts? I could quickly take a look at what that
Mhm.
article is about while you keep going through the decision tree.
Okay, you pull it up. All right, so exit the station, everyone did, and then follow the signs. Maybe you did that differently too, because there's something that's shot off of exit the station that I did not do, which would be probably give you the 3 extra percentage points what you did. I just directly followed the signs, which then had me leave the
I'll tell you in
streets.
a little bit.
Yeah. So you pulling up the article?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
looking for it, but it might take me a little bit. So just keep
Okay,
going
I'll
through
keep going.
yours and we'll come back.
So leave the streets was continue on the Jericho Trail, and then I did find the android body, which only 15% of people did. That android body that was like stuffed into the car like wheel well it looked like or something like that.
Oh
Only
shit, I don't
only
remember that from
15%
you
of people.
playing it. I don't know what the fuck I was doing while you were doing that.
Yeah. That guy probably taking a drink again, but this guy it was literally
Was
one of
that
those
in
things where
the?
it was like on the street when I was wandering on the streets trying to find the next spot. There was a car, and it was one of those where like every once in a while I'll say like hold L1 and you hold it down to like look at something. I held it down and it showed there was like an android like stuffed into the wheel well of a car, like an android's
Ew.
body. It looked all fucked up. It was pretty gross looking. Um, so it was just kind of all mangled up and shit. So that was that was, and like I said, only 15% of people. So maybe you did.
I wonder if that has anything to do with like another storyline where an android went missing. Why? You know what's weird? For mine to show that I never found
What?
the article that said Android on the Run, I have it sitting in my database. This is weird.
Oh, really? Oh, so you can read both of them?
Or it says, and so yours says on the run, yeah. So mine says Android on the Run, and it says Runaway. I don't know if it's the same one then, because mine says Android on the Run.
Oh. Maybe that's a different article from a different. That could be from a
it's from
different
a
section. So don't get to that.
like
Don't read that
right,
yet. Yeah.
right. Okay, never mind.
Because I
Carry
assume
on
there's
while
a
I keep
certain
looking.
point. There's probably a certain point in your story where eventually he finds out that she's on the run, and that's probably the article that you read, maybe in a.
He may not even have anything to do with it. I don't know.
Right.
I don't
Right.
know. I
Yeah.
I do remember something that could be related to that, but
Right.
I don't remember.
So Android astronauts, what was that one about?
That's just weird, man. I'm going through my.
Oh, you're not finding that one either. Okay, I'll just keep going unless
I'm
you
not.
find it.
Yeah.
All right. So use the dumpster to climb up. So far there's not been a whole lot other than the newspaper or the article itself and the finding the android body are the only two things that aren't just like you had to do it to advance the story. Like the ones that don't have a
Right.
number next to them. So then it gets to reach the roof and then cross the gap and then reach the door. And again, there's an offshoot near the reach the roof that I didn't do. It's just one of those where it just like it doesn't break off of something. It just like it starts off of its own thing. So there must have been something you could find on the roof that I didn't find because there's like its own decision tree that kind of shoots off it and just goes to one thing that I didn't do. So maybe
It's so
you did
weird
that
that I
too.
couldn't find the article. It's not sitting in my thing. So.
I'll go to it
Oh
in a minute.
well.
Once I get out of here, I'll go into the. It's under extras,
I
right?
mean, we don't have to. Yeah, I mean, these articles aren't that central to. I mean, but I just thought it's funny that it's not even in
Right. I actually probably
in my bank.
I kind of do want to read On the Run just because that's one that
Because
you
it
didn't
relates to the
see and
story.
that relates to the actual story. So I
Right.
wonder if that's something interesting. But if
Okay.
you go back into the
Um,
thing, so
So find next to for me, I had a blank under when you exit the station and follow the signs.
Yeah.
Whatever was under follow the signs, I didn't unlock.
Okay, so you didn't do that either. Okay, so I didn't do that either.
Well,
So then,
all right. So you missed that one as well. Okay.
yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So did you see the
So
android body?
let's see.
Which
Yeah,
is
I
a
did. I just
okay,
didn't
so you did
remember
see
it.
that. Okay. And then reach the roof.
Yep. And then I
Did
crossed
you
the
do the
gap.
thing again above cross the gap? Did you do that?
No, because remember that's probably another way. Remember it says figure
Oh, there
out a
was the other
way
way I
into
could have gone.
Jericho.
Yeah.
So I crossed the same way you did.
Okay, so you crossed the gap the same way I did. All right, cool. So then explore the abandoned office, and then it says find the right exit, and then there's another thing which I guess is the different way we could have done it, which I
No,
didn't
it's
do.
another C android body.
Oh, another Sandro body that you did. Okay, so I didn't see
Yeah.
that. So that's what you did differently that I didn't do. All right, so
Right.
find the right exit and then locate Jericho. Cool. So now walk the bridge. So 88% of people walked the bridge. That's what I did.
Yeah. Oh, so wait, I'm across the gap with the. Okay, now I was thinking of the wrong thing back where when you cross the gap, there must have been another way. Okay, I was thinking that was the Jericho scene. See, I crossed the gap the same way you did. I don't know what the other
Yep.
way to get around that roof thing
Right.
was. There's so we located Jericho.
Yep.
I walked the bridge as well,
And then the bridge collapsed.
and
So
then the
you could
bridge,
have
yeah, bridge
so you could
collapsed.
have just gone directly to the crane. It looks like if you didn't want to walk the bridge
Mm.
because it looks like the line goes directly to climb crane and
Right,
jump.
right, right,
So
right.
we just
Yeah,
went
it
the
makes
hard way
sense.
with the
Cause
bridge
okay,
collapsing. Yeah.
yeah, and
So
then inside the
inside the boat.
boat.
Yep. Find a flashlight. Enter the machine room.
Check.
Fall
Same,
off catwalk. Yep. Meet people at Jericho.
same.
So there weren't a whole lot of splits in this mission actually at all.
No. Yeah,
This
the
one
only
was
thing I
kind of
think I
like
did differently than you was find that android body, or see an android body.
right. And honestly, actually, the thing above cross the gap may have been just find another android body. Like it may have just been the whole thing is you're finding android bodies as you get closer, realizing like, oh, the
Could be.
androids are here, right? So
Oh yeah, they've been making their way to the. So
right.
this then
People
that
keep
reminds me
dying
of
as
the
they get
real life,
closer.
like people trying to cross the Mexican border,
Right.
right? And as you get closer and closer to home, that final stretch is where people are dying of thirst.
Right.
And then fucking stupid ass fucking
Absolutely.
Homeland Security is kicking over water bottles
That's
to
the
make sure
worst
more
fucking
people
story.
die that way.
And arresting
Nonsense.
people who are leaving water for people,
Yeah.
which is fucking absurd. That they're like, oh, you're like, you're disturbing the land that you're not supposed to touch. It's like, oh, I'm disturbing it by leaving food and water for people that are dying, trying to, get through this desolate area, and they're coming in and they have videos of them kicking over fucking, jugs of water. Not even just like water bottles, like full on jugs of water, kicking them over, dumping, kicking food out and shit like that.
Kind of a
Scumbags.
fucking horrible human being like is doing that. Like, ha, ha, ha. That'll show them when
Yeah.
they starve out here.
Well,
They fucking die
ice.
of thirst and shit like that.
Yeah,
Fucking
ice and the people that the border patrol. I think the more we learn, it's not good. Nothing we learn is good. Right? You're not learning anything that makes you feel like, yeah, well, they're protecting us. It's I'm
beat me
sure.
up, Scotty.
Yeah.
There's
Wow.
no intelligent life down here. These people fucking suck.
Yeah, it's the worst. So that's pretty much
So
it. So that was an interesting one.
yeah,
I mean, I guess so. The cool thing about that one was that it was a lot of. It's interesting that they named it Jericho, right? Because the entire thing was all just a build up to get there,
hmm
but no
like you
actual
said, this is
right.
the end scene in Bird Box where they get to salvation, but there's no resolution yet because they haven't actually. So
Yes.
this is like leading up to the end scene. This is where, like in Bird Box, where they get to that fucking final building and there's the knock at the door is answered, and now
Yes.
the next time we encounter Marcus again, we'll get to see kind of these
What's
androids
happening?
that are
Right.
surrounding him. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so
What's the deal with the
yeah,
androids?
they were a little weird. So like, I mean, I made the joke about like, oh, it was like
Uh-huh.
children of the corn or whatever, but like they were all like kind of just standing there as he had just fallen into the room, and they're all just
Yeah.
like creepily kind of staring at him until
So
like
this may not end up being the place that he thought it was.
right if because this could end up being like a what's the the easiest example we can give would be like a season of Walking Dead, where it's like we've been trying to get to this place forever, and then
Oh
we find out
yeah.
that Salvation
What's
is
the
fucking
Terminus?
shitty. Yeah, Terminus is
Terminus.
terrible. Salvation is terrible. Like, every
They're
fucking
eating the
place they
people.
try to get to, they're all
Hmm.
fucking shitty. Um, but I do love that like all these creepos are standing around, and then you just have one guy who I just assume his name is like Bill. He just looks like he's like an accountant in like the office, and he's like, "Hey, welcome to Jericho." Like it's just like everyone else is just like a weirdo, and he's just like trying to interact a little bit. So I thought that was kind of interesting the way how he's just like, "Welcome to Jericho," and then it just cut, like cut immediately to the end of the episode, which was, if nothing else, I'm definitely intrigued, right, to see what happens next. They know how to do cliffhangers in this game, if nothing else. Like
Yes.
they know when to
Yeah.
cut chapters to make you be like fuck. And then the cool thing is about this, the way this game is built. I mean, obviously we had our first broken. I don't want to say fourth wall because it's not a fourth wall thing. They broke their own rules in the last episode because it's the first time you got to see multiple characters cross over in an episode. But part of what they've done up to this point, which made their cliffhangers so meaningful or so impactful, is the fact that a cliffhanger ends and then you have to sit through two more episodes before you get to see what happened in that. You know what I mean? So it leaves you
Yeah.
hanging. It leaves you hanging in a way that's not just like, oh, let's see what happens next week. It's like one of those,
Hmm.
multiple storylines. So you have to wait a couple of weeks before you get to see what happened to
Yeah.
character X because character Y and character A have to have their story told first. And so like I thought that now you don't really know if that's going to be the case because they've already kind of teased like that's not always going to be the case. You might see multiple
Right.
characters in a chapter. So now you're kind of even more teased because you're like, oh shit. So am I going to see Marcus like at Jericho next time, but all of a sudden Kara's going to show up? Or like am I going to totally just see Kara? Or am I just going to see, Connor? Or is there going to be Connor trying to kick in the door of Jericho and Marcus? Like you don't know anymore. So it's kind of like even more um, tantalizing because you're like not sure what the rules of the game are
Right.
anymore because they've shown that they'll break their own rules, which is cool.
Although, go back out to leave this mission and go back out to the
Yep.
main screen and see what your next
All right, let's check it
mission
out.
says.
Oh wait, so I can't. If I hit continue, is it going to go right to the next? Start the next chapter?
Oh yeah,
That's the
yeah.
only thing.
So how did
Normally
it work
we've
last time? Okay.
no. Normally
All right.
we've
Well, I'll
just
tell you.
quit.
I'll tell you what the
Yeah,
title of the next one
yeah.
is. I
You
won't
can
tell you
tell
who's
me.
on the cover of it.
Okay.
It's called The Nest.
Oh, okay.
So
Interesting.
that'll be an interesting one. This is an interesting one as well. I
Yeah,
like this chapter.
I am
So
interested to check out what happens, man. Well, so far, yeah, it is. You were not wrong in that you said it picks up steam and it starts to get to a point where the
yeah,
stories,
fever pitch.
the stories converging and everything that's happening. You're kind of like, what's going to happen next? When are they going to meet up again? It's probably not going to be good, and eventually, maybe shit'll start to work out. Well, they'll be on the same side, but like right now, it's definitely not at that case, or at that point, which is pretty cool. So I'm definitely down with this so far.
Good stuff. Well, this will
Nice,
be
man.
actually, ironically, one of the most gameplay packed situations. This was the longest actual like gameplay
Absolutely.
episode. One of the longest missions for gameplay, but the shortest talking. So
Yeah.
uh, for the viewers that like less of us talking and more gameplay, there you
Good for
go.
you. Good for
A little
you,
something
you
for everybody.
fucker. You fucker. He fucking come to hear us. Like, if you just want to play the game, go buy it yourself, you son of a bitch. You're here to hear
Yeah,
us. You're
stop
here.
being a
You're
dick.
here to listen to us talk and babble and get drunk. So that's what we're here for. But no, that was a good
Hey,
one. That
speaking
was
about that,
yeah.
we run a Discord server,
Yes.
and if you like the shit we're talking and you listen to our podcast and you want a chance to interact with us regularly about anything, be able to like say, hey, I listened to your last podcast or I listened to your last Ready Player 2 and you said this and actually you consider this perspective, or or I just want to say, I agree with you guys, or you guys are full of shit, or whatever it is. Go to our Discord server, join up, and be part of the community, man. A lot of fans of the show on there, saying some cool, insightful shit. There's the Discord server link. Just click that
Perfect.
to join the community. And yeah, thank you all. I got nothing else.
Now that's it. That's definitely. I think this was one of those where we got a chance to talk during during the episode a lot, so I don't think we have a
Yeah.
whole lot more to say. I guess the only other thing I was going to say is just keep an eye out if you enjoy anything that we've been talking about today and you want to check out the actual, Live from the Man Cave podcast itself. We are in the midst of a block of a couple of parts, an episode that we had alluded to earlier, but our holiday party that we did, not around the holidays, so it's not that old. We just did it. We did it post holiday, but we celebrated
Yeah. We did a
Christmas, New Year's.
holiday podcast at like mid to late July.
Exactly. We did basically we celebrated Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's all in one big fucking event. And so a couple of parts are now, we did a long one, so we broke it up into a couple episodes, or parts of that episode. So you can go check that out on Live from the Man Cave and go listen to that episode and hear about some great beers and hear about some really that was one of my favorite episodes. So I had a great time.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to
Both to
people
be in, and then when
getting
you listen to it on the
it.
back end, it's pretty funny.
Absolutely. No, definitely. Yeah.
Shit
So
show.
I think it'll be it's a good one. I think it'll be fun for people to listen to. So go check that out. You can subscribe to that and come check us out next time on Ready Player 2 as well. We're looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say about what's happening in this game as well. All right, man. Are we good to go? Shall I shut it down?
Yes, sir.
All right, we're going to
Shut
kill
it
this.
down, and we'll see you
All
next time
right.
for the Nest.
Absolutely. We'll see you guys next time. Have a good one. Peace out, dude. All right.
Cool. That was a good one.
It's still rolling. Hold up. Still rolling. Don't say anything terrible about the fans yet.